Oh, what's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. So, as promised, we're now going to go through all of the lyrics Errol Spence rattled off in response to Terence Crawford's video. Now, at the time, I didn't actually get to go through most of what Terence Crawford had to say, but really, Errol Spence's response, in fact, they both get into it, so more or less, this is really the crux of it. Spence says, I have 30 minutes to waste. Why did it take Terence Crawford 2 weeks to say something? Wow, these are big facts. You tried getting your ish together. That's why it took so long. We can see you looking at some flashcards or piece of paper. Good you're speaking now. I was worried. Wow, my man airing dude out. He claims that his concerns over having transparency on the revenues and expenses for the fight was the big issue that killed negotiations. Cap, my side agreed to show him everything. Wow! Now, again, it's interesting. Obviously, when these videos drop, or when the Terence Crawford initial video dropped, a whole bunch of people, myself included, was gassed. Wow! Because there's an old saying. There's your opinion, my opinion, and the truth. Yeah. But that's why I keep saying it's so important. Everything should be public. If both sides are public, there is no my side and his side. There is only the truth. The reason I've gone through that big rigmarole of explaining is to say that imagine Terence Crawford put his video out, which he did, and he said, I wanted disclosure, and they refused to give it. Most people, myself included, were saying, yep, Errol Spence's ducked. It's a wrap for him. Now Errol Spence says, we agreed to that. Game changer. It's amazing how things, and that's why it's so important again, that everything is public. Because initially, when Terence Crawford signed to fight Avanesian, it was, wow, Terence Crawford's a bum, Terence Crawford ducking. Then Terence Crawford comes out and says Errol Spence was being shady. Everyone was on Terence Crawford's side. And now Errol Spence says, we agreed to give him all of that. Really, what it comes down to as well is, people should just post facts. If I was one of these two individuals, I'd just post a contract, boom. Here it is, I signed on this date, we agreed to give Terence Crawford full visibility. I wouldn't even bother with opinions. What's the point in putting an opinion out there if you can just drop the facts, drop the receipts? That's what I'd lead with. For example, when Terence Crawford said, we wanted full disclosure of all costs and whatever else, and they refused to give it. Here's the email, here's the receipt. That's what you have to do at this stage, in my opinion. Because the fight's off anyway, so you've got nothing to lose. And at the moment, it's a bit like, what this is proving is that it's he said, she said. Terence Crawford said, we haven't got no visibility, and Errol Spence said, we agreed to that. So, bottom line is, it's best to lead with the facts. I think there needs to be some sort of blockchain contract service that just post this stuff all publicly. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a tech guy, but do you know what I'm saying? Somehow, some way, some information should be stored, and everyone can log in and view it publicly. Each kind of step. So step 1, Errol Spence sends offer. Every single step should be logged, man, publicly, in my opinion. Every single negotiation step should be logged publicly. Now, they're not going to do that because these guys are rich anyway. These guys don't need to show the public anything. They're making their $70 pay-per-views regardless of what they show us. But in a proper world, that's what I'd do. And if you don't want to fight, you don't want to fight. Don't lie about it. If you don't want to fight, you don't want to fight. But these days, people want to pretend. There's a lot of pretenders. I'm not sure who the pretender is. I haven't seen the receipts. And like I said, what this little thing showed me is that you can't take anyone's opinion for nothing. Because several times I've flip-flopped. And really, we're none the wiser to what the actual problem is. Because all we've heard is words. That's why the first guy to drop the receipts, that's what I'm going to lead with. But even then, there can be counter receipts. It could be the case that Errol Spence and his team denied full access at one point, but then later on agreed. So it's complicated. Again, that's why we need it on the blockchain, man. Bang, 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 bang. There's no disputing it. There's no disputing how the time stamped, boom, 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 how it all started and how it ended. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Crawford said, Nick, you capping, big capper. Y'all want to agree when I moved around. So when he moved on, I'm guessing that's what he's saying. Which is that, and that's what I just explained. This is what can happen, in as much as Errol Spence may have denied the full claims at one point, but then said, actually, we'll give them to you. Now, I don't know what he means by when I moved on. Is it in that 2-week period? I remember there was a 2-week period, Errol Spence came out and said, we haven't heard from Terence Crawford for 2 weeks. Is it in that period Errol Spence and his team said, okay, we'll give you that? Again, being public would save all this, because being public would have meant, in my opinion, people are more honest, yeah, when things are in public. If these negotiations were public, yeah, Errol Spence and his team never would have denied access, because everyone knows that's stupid. Why, if I'm a partner with you, if we're going 45 or 40, 60 partners, I need to see what you're signing off on. There's an anecdote about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson didn't request to see what was going on, and Don King was paying people 10 grand a week for towels. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important. Anyway, Errol Spence comes through. Didn't your team get a draft contract for the fight August 24th? The draft included specific provisions that required that both of us would receive a complete and full written detailed accounting showing all pay-per-view sales. Boom. Listen, fair play to Errol Spence. Now, this isn't a snapshot of the contract, but the way it's written, it's not Errol Spence. If you look at Errol Spence's tweets, he ain't writing English. He can't write a lick of English properly. Yeah, but so the minute I start seeing this legal verbiage, I believe this was from the contract. So Errol Spence really coming through with some half receipts here. Bummed him. Essentially, and this was for August 24th, so it couldn't have been that late. Bud said, well, you only offered it when we moved on. Well, August 24th implies this here is a receipt. Errol Spence is referencing, go to the August 24th draft and you'll find this in there. Oops. Oh no, if I'm not telling the truth, tell him to post a draft. Wow. Yeah, again, after Terence Crawford's video, I was big on Terence Crawford's side. Now, I'm more on Errol's side. Because, again, receipts trump all. Unfortunately, Terence Crawford didn't really come with no receipts. He come with waffle. And waffle's better than nothing. There's a hierarchy. Nothing is the worst case. Nothing's the worst, waffle's better than nothing, and receipts are the ultimate. So far, Errol Spence is winning this based on the receipts. Or the half receipts. He talking about he didn't have a guarantee. And he was taking all the risk. MFer. I didn't have a guarantee, just a higher percentage. Wow. Again, a big point. Oh, how can they not offer all these all the Budmosexuals, yeah, all the Terence Budmosexuals were saying, they gave Canelo a big guarantee. Why can't you give Crawford a guarantee? Oops. Yeah. These are the things that don't make me feel too good for Crawford. Bear in mind, it wasn't Errol Spence, and I think this has become the crux for me. It wasn't Errol Spence that walked away to fight Avanesian. That for me was a key signal. Now, fair enough, if Terence Crawford had dropped receipts which showed that he was dealing with clowns, I get that. I'm not asking no one to be involved in negotiations with clowns. If Terence Crawford dropped receipts showing they were offering him 10% and they wouldn't budge, I'll be the first one to say, yep, go and fight Avanesian. He didn't do that though. And instead, the half receipts we're getting is sounding like Bud was just moaning and trying to explain why he's going to fight another bum. He loved to fight bums as well, it must be said. Errol Spence said, all money is not good money. I asked him where the 50 mil coming from. Who is running the hedge fund / putting the money up. He couldn't tell me. Oh no, that's bad. And I said that from the video yesterday. Who are they? Oh, 2 hedge funds. Who are they? Yeah? Give us their license registration number. Simple as that. All all financial services organisations have a license number. Pass a license number, 100%. Never mind the license number, you can't even tell us the name. That's bad. It's a wrap for homosexuals right now. It's all the way bad for homosexuals. Errol Spence then says, I think we all just need to meet in person now. To be fair to Crawford, Crawford did say he wanted to meet Al Heyman weeks ago. So I'm glad both of them have come to this equation. Ultimately, two things, in person and in public. That's how things get done, for sure. Crawford come through. Lol. You can't put that on your kids, Nick. You asked about the back end and said you're going to talk to your people and see what they say. Nick, you a whole fraud on my kid's life. You know you had to get permission to even commit back. Nick, you wanted. You watched my live. Now you got something to say. I'm not really sure. The English... Listen, the English of this cat here is super weak, but we don't pay him to be good at English. That said, I'm not sure what he's getting at, and I do get the feeling, I have to say, it's not... Listen, I'm the first one to say. If Terence Crawford... I don't care nothing for Errol or Crawford. I'm just calling a spade a spade. This, to me, sounds wishy-washy. Yeah? The minute people start talking about their kids, oh, man, oh, my mama, oh, my kid, what? Let's just stick to the facts. Yeah? Terence has made a lot of allegations. Just post the facts. Don't talk about your kids. When people start talking about things that are irrelevant, that worries me. It's when you're trying to add value to your argument without actually adding value. Yeah? You could just post a receipt. You don't need to mention your kids and how you're putting it on your kids. That sounds good to the hood. Hood dudes will be like, oh man, he put it on his kids. To me, I don't care what you put it on. Because every single liar, I mean, you go to jail, yeah, every single liar in there will tell you, oh, I never did the crime on my mama. They're all going to say that. Yeah? That's what people do, lie. So, and it sounds wishy-washy all of a sudden. Crawford in the video it sounded like he had pure facts. Now, he's talking about his kids. He's talking about, I mean, yeah. Errol Spence had to get permission. That was a weak argument, though. You haven't answered his questions. Errol Spence has every right to ask who they are, who the hedge fund is. And you're responding, well, you have to get permission. Okay. Even if, I think Errol Spence probably does have to get permission. Fine. Still, yeah, whether Errol Spence needs permission or not, it's got nothing to do with, he ain't got a clue who the people you're being offered money through. So that's, again, wishy-washy. When people obfuscate and start, Errol Spence weren't talking about getting permission. We're talking about the $25 million offer. Where'd it come from? And Terence Crawford, he ducking and dodging right now. He said, I wasn't at the table or know where to be found. For what I knew, what I was projected to get and happy with it. To be honest, that hedge fund deal was for your benefit. Again, these guys' English is super duper weak, hard to read, but I'm not... So, Errol Spence is basically happy to get what he's getting. He's a legend. That hedge fund deal was never going to benefit him anyway. Which does make sense, because it was 25 million apiece, and Errol Spence is the A-side, so yeah, I mean, these bits here really are just peripheral bits anyway. Hedge fund or no hedge fund. If you can't give me the guy's name, forget about it. It's not real. Any clown, particularly in this day and age. Jake Paul and Triller, they was involved in the whole thing. Oh, we're going to pay everyone. Triller was out here talking about paying everyone 20 mil for bum fights. How'd that work out? Teofimo Lopez ended up wasting 6 months of his life messing with Triller. So there's a lot of clowns in the game right now trying to get their wicks wet. Fact is, I'm fighting somebody else. He is too, but a tune-up. A smart boss surrounds himself with people who are the best at what they do and can help in my decisions. This dude at Errol Spence is a clown. He had to get his lies together, lol. Now we got so much to say. I mean, Errol Spence said that initially to you, so Crawford's trying to fire the bars. Now, I've got to be honest here, neither of these two look the greatest in the public's eye, because they both sat on it. Yeah? Errol Spence only came out after the fight was off. In fact, Errol Spence for a long time was saying the fans need to back off and get a life, and I did videos on it. Errol Spence was airing the fans out for a long time. The fight's going to happen, get a life, focus on your own life. So no one's clean in this situation. But I'm leaning towards Errol. I've got to be honest on this one. It's just what it is. Crawford's come across a little bit messy. That's just what it is. And really, when you look at Crawford's career, he is a bum slayer. I have to say it. Who's he been fighting for the last fight? I don't know what he's been doing. He's been beating Amir Khan and Kell Brooks and the washed versions of them people as well. What A-level bull has Crawford beat? I'd say Avanesian might actually end up being one of the best guys on his resume. And that's not because he wanted it that way. And even then, the only reason Crawford picked Avanesian is because it's an easier fight than Jaron Ennis or Virgil Ortiz, which tells you a lot about Crawford. Why didn't Crawford come out there and try and fight a young bull? He could have said, listen, Errol fight can't happen, he's scary. But to show people I'm on this thing, get Ennis in here now, I want him bad. He didn't do that. I don't think Avanesian's a bad fighter, but Crawford's just too... Yeah, there's levels to the game. Peep this. He requested approval over expenses. His company, TBC, to have a chance to review and sign agreements. We said yes for the event, reviewing and approving agreements before they are executed. The choice of which way to proceed is up to TBC. Said yes next to tweet. I'm not sure. These guys' English is mad. Okay, when did y'all agree to it? And when was we post to fight again? I wait. So Crawford's alleging that Errol Spence is saying he said all these things, but Crawford don't have the receipts of this actually happening. At which point, really, Errol Spence should be putting it, boom, here's the paper. Not the whole contract, but here's the snippet. That's what he should be saying. We sent this to you on this date, here it is. He hasn't done that. How long does it take for your team to get back? This was supposed to be a huge fight promotion in different cities, etc. Crawford wanted to know if revenues from the fight would be placed into a mutually agreeable account and only be released upon all parties' agreement. My team said yes. I think we'll leave it there. I think I'll cover the rest of the half tomorrow, but so far, man, both of these two dudes, honestly, when you actually take a step back and think about things, both of these two dudes, what do we actually know? We know Spence is about to fight Thurman. Where the fuck they find him at? But I'm going to be honest as well, I think Avanesian would wash Thurman. I get it, Thurman's a bigger money fight, but I'm not blaming it. I think Errol Spence probably did want the Terence Crawford fight, but Thurman is like... I respect Errol Spence. Errol Spence beat Kell Brook when he was a bull. Yeah? That said, this fight for me, Spence versus Thurman, is like what Terence Crawford's been doing with Amir Khan and with Kell Brook. Yeah? Keith Thurman washed up the same way Kell Brook and Amir Khan were washed up. But, end of the day, it's late notice. Well, I assume it's late notice. Apparently, Errol Spence should be fighting in January. Now, if Errol Spence is fighting in March, I don't want to hear about Thurman. Why? Well, it's not late notice. Errol Spence should be fighting Keith Thurman on 5 weeks' notice. That's the only way the fight makes sense. Well, Errol Spence wants to get out before the end of the year. Let's throw Thurman in there. He food. If you're having a full camp, a full 5-month camp, I ain't trying to hear about Thurman. Get a young bull in there. If you don't do that, let's be real here. Who thinks Spence versus Thurman is a legacy fight? It's not. Spence versus Ennis is, in my opinion. That will solidify Errol Spence at 147. Errol Spence not only beat people in his own era, he whooped the next era. Beating Thurman, yeah, it helps your bank. Don't do nothing for your legacy. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe, and your boy will be back.